ever-changing world. From the News Channel 5 network, this is Issues of Faith.
Hello everyone, welcome to Issues of Faith. We are talking about an important faith-based endeavor right here in Nashville. We're talking about the Nashville Rescue Mission. Very happy to have with us as our guest the president and CEO of the mission, Glenn Cranfield. Thank you for being with us.
No, it's great to be here today, Gay. Hey, what a beautiful day outside. Just great to be here.
I remember I was your first interview. You've been here about 2 years now, right?
That's right, almost 2 years. And I mean, within the first month that I was here, I came here to do the Issues of Faith program and met Ben. And I was just still, I said I was still trying to find my office at the time, but it's so great. Just love being here in Nashville. Wonderful place.
So you've been here almost 2 years. Have you instituted any changes? Kind of give us an update, I guess. The last 2 years, what are some of the highlights of what you've seen?
Yeah, well, of course, Nashville Rescue Mission's been here since 1954, so it's an incredible ministry with an incredible legacy of faith and activity regarding the homeless and those that are in recovery and addictions and so forth. But over the last 2 years, we've kind of really focused on some just simple core values. And the first one is radical hospitality, that God has called us to minister love and grace and mercy to those that are really hurting and those that are in need. And so we thought about, okay, we're here for hospitality, but I believe that God has called us to be radical in our hospitality. So that's one of the changes, is that we're really everyone's heart is to be hospitable, but when we're faced with that term every single day, we are radically hospitable to those that we're serving. I mean, that really helps us. The next one is just an extravagant faith. Having extravagant faith to realize that God is able to do infinitely more than we can even imagine or think, according to what the scripture says in Ephesians 3:20. So we have radical faith to believe God for miracles, and really miracles in people's lives. And there are miracles that happen every single day. When someone is addicted and someone has lost their home and their family and their job and all of those because of drug addiction or alcoholism or bad choices in their life, and then they come to a place of realization that they need help, and they need help that God gives, and they give their heart and their life to God, and you see that life turn around, reunited with their family, reunited with their children. That's a miracle. And so extravagant faith says we believe God for those great things. And of course, compassion and excellence and continuous improvement, and then honor. Just honoring those that have gone before us, honoring those we serve, and honoring each one as we serve them.
What are you seeing now as far as the number of homeless in Nashville? Is it going up? Is it leveling off? Is it coming down? What are you seeing?
Well, you know, again, I've been here 2 years, and so I look at the numbers based upon history and what's going on right now, and there is a slight increase each year in homelessness, which is expected as the city grows and matures and develops, as Nashville has and is doing. Then you can also expect that draws a lot of folks into Nashville from either the music scene or construction and so forth. And so a lot of people find that they need help and are in need. And so the homeless ranks are increasing. The rapidly part that's increasing is women and children. And so that's right here in Nashville, and of course nationwide as well. So we're seeing that number increase at a percentage rate higher than just single men.
When you talk about the growth of Nashville, you're in an area that's really a high growth area. You've seen the convention center come in near there and all kinds of expansion and growth. What sort of impact is that having on the mission?
Well, it certainly, I mean, since I've been here for over the 19 months, I've seen that outside my office window just really project up into the sky. But it's a phenomenal part of downtown Nashville now. And it has affected us in as much as the homeless, that's one of their areas, their foot traffic areas. So we're trying to pull them in and away from that area and say, hey, we're here for you. Let's stay over here. Let's work through this. And we want to be a good neighbor. We understand that we're right in the middle of development, right in the middle of downtown. And so it's our purpose to really beautify our property and really to be a good neighbor to Nashville and the surrounding businesses right there where we are.
Is there any chance that you might move? Have you discussed that or thought about that?
You know, there have been discussions that people that ask that question. There hasn't been any serious discussions about that. One of the problems with that is that when you move, you know, the idea would be to move you away from the downtown area or from that district. And then that would create a huge issue for Nashville, because the homeless, we are there because that's where the homeless are drawn to. They're drawn to there because of crowds. They're drawn to there because of traffic. They're drawn to there because of the ease of panhandling. And so if we were to move from that, then we would move away from the problem. That would create a bigger problem for downtown Nashville. So I think everybody understands that.
What, as CEO, is your number one biggest challenge at this point?
The number one biggest challenge for me are the women and children. Really, that campus, which is on Rosa Parks, is a separate campus. The challenge for me really is to get in front of the curve, and that is with the growing number of women and children, the growing number of families, to really stay in front of what's happening and the trend that's happening here in Nashville and across the nation. So that's the thing that I think about the most when I think about vision, when I think about the future, when I think about where we're headed. That's the one that really challenges me the most. Make sure that we have the right programs in place for our kids, that we're not just warehousing women and children, that we really have a design structure in place for their productivity and their recovery and moving them along from the shelter environment into independent living. And so that's probably my biggest challenge, my biggest goal.
Where does the mission get most of its money?
Well, we don't receive any government money at all, state, local, state, or federal government, and so we don't receive any tax dollars. It's all private giving. Bulk of it comes from individuals, just individuals that say, I believe in what you're doing, I believe in helping the poor, I believe in feeding the hungry, and I like the way in which you're doing that with a conservative gospel message. And so the bulk of our giving comes from individuals, and then we have corporations and businesses and churches, and they come alongside and say, we support. It truly is. Nashville Rescue Mission truly is a community-based, community-funded, community-supported mission to the homeless and poor of Nashville.
Well, then let's talk about numbers. How many people come through your doors, and how many women and children you're seeing this increase, and how long do they stay? Let's go through some of those specifics.
On the men's side, we're just above 500 in each night now here at Nashville Rescue Mission, and that's a huge population of men in the shelter each night. And of course, we feed about 1,800 to 2,000 meals a day. So you can see the activity just on the men's side of what's going on. And then on the women's campus, women and children, we're between 250 and 300 each night at the women's campus. And just a record that we're not proud of, just this last fall, we had 92 children one night, just 92 children. This is not even in the wintertime at Nashville Rescue Mission. So we're seeing that number climb rapidly. And they can come in. On the emergency side, it's a service to the community and the poor. In other words, we want them to come in. We don't want them to be on the street. We don't want them to be in some business's doorway. And if it's cold outside, we don't want them to be hazardous and detrimental to their health. So we encourage them to come in. In fact, in the wintertime, we go out actually and compel them to come in. And so they can come in each and every night that they're in need. Our program of recovery is a 12-month residential program. And so they go to addiction counseling, the case management, education classes, all kinds of things, job readiness, job search, and job training to move them from in the shelter into independent living. That's a 12-month program, and we have roughly about 200 people enrolled in that program right now, graduating 10 to 15 to 20 each month into the job market. So that's an exciting thing.
That is great. And we're going to talk to somebody in the second segment who's been through that and, and a success story.
Yes.
And those are so good to hear. But what about the women and children? Is it a separate campus? You're not keeping them with the men. When you say a separate campus, is it right there with the mission, or is it a whole nother location? I'm really bad with distances. It's on the other side of town. I can tell you that. The men's campus is at 639 Lafayette, which is close to where the Music City Center is. And the women's campus is on Rosa Parks on the other side of downtown, closer to the interstate. So they're separated by about 3 or 4 miles. And that's really good for us to separate the women and the families and the children. Their issues are so different. Their needs are so different. And so we have 2 separate campuses with 2 separate staff that really work hard and work well together. Same goals, extravagant faith, radical hospitality, and all of that, but just different approach and way we deal with homeless men and homeless women and families. And this is a critical time of year, right? We're coming up on the holidays, certainly Thanksgiving. That's a time of year where you're in the news. People go down there on Thanksgiving Day and serve and that kind of thing. But this is really an important time of year for you all. Is that right?
It is. It's an important time of the year. As the weather turns, then our numbers begin to increase and we start to have a great inflow of people. But also as the holidays approach, and people are really cognizant of the needs of the poor, and they want to think, okay, how can I help? I've been blessed. It's Thanksgiving time. I'm thankful for all that's going on in my life, for all the great things that God has done, and I want to share. How can I share? And so this is the time of the year that we share our message with so many people and give them an opportunity to share with those that are less fortunate than they are and have an impact on their life. And that's really the cool thing. We're there every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And so we see and we input into these lives, but somebody can take a part of that by helping with prayer, helping with financial, helping with in-kind gifts, clothes, foods, etc. And they can actually have an identity in a person's help and hope and recovery. And that's just really neat.
And what if there's a church group that's out there watching and they want to do something, or a youth group or a young adult group or an adult group or whatever? How could they get involved, and what could they do?
Well, I would encourage them to go to the website NashvilleRescueMission.org, and there's a volunteer tab on there, and they can actually pull that up and see all the volunteer opportunities that are available, and serving in the kitchen, working in the areas of custodial help. I mean, just all kinds of upkeep, painting, and different things with an enormous amount of structure. There's always painting and always things like that going on, and they can participate. We have school groups, we have church groups, we have Sunday school classes, youth groups, VBS groups. We have people that are there all the time helping out in many areas. One of the things that just is remarkable to me at Nashville Rescue Mission is there are 80 to 85 volunteers every single day. Every single day, 80 to 85 volunteers helping us do what we do. So there's wonderful opportunity for everyone.
And I always find it interesting. You came here from Oklahoma,
yes,
right? And I'm always interested to hear you compare, and I'm interested now that you've been here 2 years, what you saw there directing that mission and what you see here and the differences. What would you say the differences are? Are the challenges essentially the same? Do you have more homeless here, less homeless, and what are the differences?
Well, the first difference that just hits me right when I first came was the number of homeless. In Oklahoma City, roughly the same size, maybe just a tad bit smaller than Nashville, but not a great amount. But the number of homeless are drastically more in Nashville than in Oklahoma City. Part of that has to do with such a mild climate. We have harsh winters and very harsh summers in Oklahoma, but a mild climate here in Nashville as part of that. But also the draw. Nashville is such a draw. The music industry, the development on Lower Broadway, just so many wonderful things happen here. Construction sites, buildings going up in apartment complexes. It's just an incredible place, an incredible city. And so with all the activity draws folks in. And so that's probably the number one difference, the stark reality of the difference between Oklahoma City and Nashville is just the sheer numbers.
Just the number of people. Okay, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and talk to Adam Powell. He's somebody who participated in the program and is truly a success story. So we'll take a break, be back right after this.